is something that's been, you know, at the start of the split, it was banned heavily, faded off a bit. I 100% believe EDG are one of the teams that can abuse this pick to success. Now, come up here, we still have some of the big AD carries available, right? Corki is up and open. We have Jinx in the bot lane, but looking for the Ryze, a big pick for Scout. And we're talking about that mid priority being vital. EDG prioritized it very early.
Yeah, and the Ryze has just become a massive priority for pretty much every single region across the board. Good to see it coming out here for EDG. Scout, again, fantastic Ryze player, can pretty much play whatever style, but you give over a very fast combination. The speedy go fast are going over. Zeri and Hecarim giving over now to IG.
Yeah, that is a fast-paced combo, very effective in terms of the dive. EDG looking to solidify the mid-jungle. Ryze Lee Sin, a very powerful combo, so really leaning into that early pressure we're talking about. They are in a position here where I think locking in AD carry could make a lot of sense, right? If you don't take it here, you're possibly going to get banned out in the second rotation. They could look in different directions, though.
Absolutely, and I love this from the EDG, or sorry, from IG. Again, you're looking at who they've picked up and where they're going to be able to go. You now have an option. Do you pick top laner here, give yourself a Jace perhaps, and then maybe ban away a couple of bad matchups here against IG, put Flandre under some serious pressure, or do you go with the support and get yourself that early skirmishing ball lane, or throw it all out the window and go for mid lane? There's so many different options you get available to you. I have had different conversations with different color casters about the strengths and the weaknesses of all the different picks on the sides, but I do find myself looking at red side and saying, I like where they're bringing things. I like the options it gives you and the opportunities you have to try and, you know, change up the draft. But they're going to lock themselves in. So it's going to be the mids, the AD carries, and the jungles all locked in for both teams.
Orianna is a safe pick here, not just in terms of we often see it as a safe pickup, but it does well to kind of match the priority from the Ryze. And by taking the mid, you're securing that you have some contention there. If you left it to the second phase of picks, there's a chance you get banned out and put in an uncomfortable spot. You need to be contesting this mid priority we already talked about before, but it does mean, right, we're still looking at those top laners to support. IG will have first pickup, so I expect them to probably take the support in that situation unless they really want to wait and see and they have a blindable top that's left open and available for now. They'll ban away that Tahm Kench. If you have dive tools like the Hecarim, like the Zeri, you really don't want a Tahm Kench as a safety net for EDG. We could also see the Thresh come out as a ban from IG on top of that. For EDG though, perhaps there's some top laners that you aren't really happy about seeing, and they actually end up going for the Nautilus. So looking at those supports that can facilitate the dive, perhaps a Leona ban would be second from them, but IG, you know, I feel like it'd make a lot of sense to see the Thresh taken away here.
Yeah, get Meiko onto something slightly more either hard engagey or big enchantery, as we wait to see now what the final ban will be from IG. But again, looking at the two compositions, I think both teams are going to be very happy. No, they're actually going to go with the Renekton, so not willing to let that be a safe blind up in the top side for Flandre and saying, look, we don't need to ban any more supports because if you don't ban the Leona, we got first pick anyway.
Yeah, and I think as well, when you have the Lee Sin Ryze, very easy to roam top with the Renekton, right? You have 2 point-and-click CCs and the Lee Sin with the burst damage. It would be very difficult for Zika to play that role, and especially as he's been so strong recently, you want to give him a little bit of room. Now, ADG, I think Leona could make a lot of sense, but they actually go for the Jace in the top lane, so potentially concerned about Zika being unleashed on that pick and them having less tools available. Question for IG is you can take a support pick here. It does mean that you can potentially end up playing, you know, Leona into Thresh, but I still think you're kind of okay with that matchup. And then it leaves you to have a good matchup in the top lane and kind of understand what you're going up against. So Leona comes out. I think EDG, you probably just take the Thresh here. It'll be interesting to see what they go for in the top lane. We do see Graves usually picked up as a pretty solid blind. And it looks like they might be toying with that idea as well.
Well, looks like you might be pretty decent at this game and know your stuff. Might be doing your homework as the Graves is being hovered right now. I agree with you. I think the Leona's fine, especially with the Glacial Augment changes. It is a lot better for you to be able to just land that Xenoblade. You still get yourself off with that Ruin, so you're able to still make something happen even if you do have the full disengage. But for EDG, see what they were going to be the last pick there. I wouldn't mind a little bit of hard engage. It would round their comp out very, very nicely. Give someone to go inside with the Lee Sin and maybe even just get a little bit of setup here for the Jinx and the Graves, because outside of the rockets and once that rapid fire cannon, which we assume will be built, you're very short range on the side of EDG. And yeah, Meiko going to something he has tried and tested on, his patented Alistar, in my opinion.
Yeah, still a good matchup in the Leona, right? Not as many defensive tools for the Jinx, but as you said, that hard engage available for the pick that you're able to sort of provide some agency when you want to look to go in, right? Not just playing that more defensive role. IG will look at the Camille, so very heavy dive they've committed onto this composition. It's going to be rough for Viper to survive this one. I feel like, you know, EDG have a pretty strong backline, but there's a lot of tools IGD get on them. I really feel like EDG want to be finding that early agency. They have that very strong mid jungle. My ideal build for them is they get Viper fed and then they're able to defend him in those team fights. He's going to be that big scaling element into the later stages, but Flandre is also there as a pick will be strong when he farms up. For IG, mid jungle, it's a little bit tentative, but you have the Zeri who is so strong in this patch. You have the Leona who can just walk around the map and make things happen. And Camille obviously is pretty heavily scaling into the later stages, but can hold her own against that Graves.
Yeah, if you're wondering if the Meiko even is pretty good at this champion. 112 games of Alistar. Last time we saw it was in 2021. It was in the playoffs of summer, but 74 wins, 38 losses, has a 66.1% win rate. He is fantastic on this champion, and it's something that I've seen him take time and time again. It's why we always say that LPL is a team fighting region. When you have these hard engaged supports, they can do so much, and we're so proficient at it. And looking across the board now, looking at these two teams, you mentioned the kind of, you know, the dive potential available to IG, and I want to see them get a bit funky. I want to see them put pressure onto EDG. I want to see them put again, similar to what they did to BLG, bring them down, play in mud, and get them onto their own terms. Because as you said, if EDG are just taking the early game and taking these small little wins early and controlling the game, it's going to be a lost game for IG.
And that's the thing I'm a little bit concerned about, right? Because the Hecarim isn't going to have as much early agency as the Lee Sin. The Ryze, obviously, when the Realm Warp becomes available, can move to sides very easily in set up plays. So I feel like EDG have better tools to get this game off to a quick start, even though IG have a great team fighting composition in the later stages. We'll have to see how things pan out there. And, you know, I feel like another element of the Alistar that we didn't really get a chance to brush on before was the point and click element of it, right? So, you know, you have a bunch of champions who are very skill shot based, right? Thresh would be an example of a champion skill shot based. It's not fun playing those into a Zeri, right? She's so fast. It's so hard to pin her down. The Alistar basically means they have an insurance policy. If we see the stack start building up on the Zeri, the movement speed gets too high, Meiko can just combo, right? There's no way really to avoid it other than using flash. There's no way to outplay it with your mobility. You can obviously move around outside the range, but it means playing a short range but mobile carry, the second you step up into Meiko's zone of control, he will combo you.
If it does end up coming to fruition, both teams will be starting off, or both junglers will be starting off on the bot side of the map. And talk about that combination. I will say the Alistar does have a little bit of a rough time in the first few levels, as he has only, as we say, one of the many 2 point and clicks that he would look to try and get onto. So see how the bot lane of IG can fare up now. And Viper has still been and will probably forever be just one of the best AD carries we have in the league. Still very much hunting for more success after his world championship. Still looking to be considered one of the best to ever play the game. And for EDG, this is again, it's been a tough season in terms of the longevity of it, but they still have to perform. They still have to get themselves up. And one of the big things I think people are going to be looking at is to see how dominant they can be coming out after the World Championship, to try and make it to MSI, to try and be the representative for LPL going to the mid-season invitational.
Yeah, we often see teams coming off like RNG in summer last year, coming off the MSI win, really looked rough. And it often happens because you have less of an off season, you have less downtime, less time to get used to the new patch. You spent such a long period playing on this different patch. Oh, gank coming in mid.
Oh, Yuekai, he's dead. First blood for Jiejie. Beautifully set up. The Lee Sin Ryze combination, like you said, point and click CC, so difficult to get away from.
Yeah, and it's level 3, right? This is when the Lee Sin really spikes. Hecarim can match you a lot better once he has that ultimate available. But at this point, Lee Sin has so much burst damage, has that mobility, able to get in on those strong ganks. And I love to see this because not only do you put Yuekai behind, but by removing that flash, it makes it very difficult for him to push up in the lane, very difficult for him to contest priority. And this is Shun's attempt to answer. Flandre is very overextended, but it's like Shun won't even go for it, right? Doesn't want to risk it, doesn't want to potentially run into Jiejie when he's overextended himself, so we'll just pick up the scuttle and back away.
Pick up the scuttle, gets spotted on the Scryer's Bloom as well. They will see the recall here from Flandre. Let's have a look at this, because again, I think it's literally just Scout saying, cool, I've got the Lee Sin, I can just walk forward, get the flash out, and there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, that's the power of point and click. I mean, they play it flawlessly, right? But there's very little Yuekai can do unless you're expecting the flash to come out from Scout and match it with your own. Limited amount of options in that scenario. So good start. Got to see the momentum going though and continuing from here. EDG have drafted a strong mid jungle and already they're starting to capitalize on that, but they need to continue before this Hecarim comes online.
Yeah, we saw the difference as well. Yes, you get the kill into the mid lane for the Lee Sin. He gets himself out, but it's not really equating to that much of a difference. In fact, in terms of experience, the Hecarim will still be slightly ahead. It clears an awful lot faster. You're going to be a little bit behind on the play in that regard. But look at the minimap here. You can already see Scout cheating up towards this top side with the hook shot now down. It's going to be very difficult here for Zika to try and get himself away. He does have flash, but 3 people here. EDG are just controlling this early game, and they're saying, we're going to take you out. No need to tank aggro when there's no one near the tower. And that's just a beautifully orchestrated early game from EDG.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly what we want to see. Rotate that pressure up towards the top side. Easy gang setup. On Zika, he will be able to TP in and catch the wave, but now they are looking for a play. Lucas is here to back them up.
Is there, but Yuekai, he kind of chooses between one or the other. He needs to try and find a target now. It will be Scout, who does get donated over to Yuekai. Good response here from IG, not letting EDG away with everything.
Yeah, really good play. And the fact that Lucas was there, you know, it instantly means that EDG can't actually contest that, right? The mid jungle is the only members available for the side of EDG, but Scout and Jiejie instantly knew, right, there's actually a roam timer here. We have to back out. They see Lucas. Jiejie has to flash away, and it's still an advantage overall for EDG right now, but IG answering back.
And again, it's only about that kill and the difference. So the way this game is slowly kind of filtering out, again, we look back towards those junglers, Jiejie and Shun. They are being so active so early, and it's great to see it from them. And already look at the items and the AD carries. 2 culls picked up that saying, look, this game isn't about us right now. We're going to wait 20 minutes or so when we get 2.5 items. Then we become relevant, because they know right now it has very little to do with them in these early stages.
Yeah, I will say you can see the pressure that IG sort of have. We saw them earlier able to contest the wave quite well. The Zeri is able to just shred through minions so quickly, and it does mean Lucas has those opportunities to move into other areas of the map and sort of facilitate play. But now they will be looking to crash this big wave in, and it does mean, again, Lucas has another opportunity where if he wants to move, he can. But for now, I think the goal for IG is just to look to pick up this dragon. Actually misses the ward there with the sweeper. It won't matter at all in the slightest, because you can see Jiejie is passing towards the top side, but still going to be spotted out on that one.
Yeah, like this from Shun, just trying to see if he can be get as efficient as possible on this clear. Get the dragon and the scuttlebug at the same time. You know, keep your
He's farming while he's farming.
Yeah, he's farming and he's farming, exactly it. And he'll have the rest of his team coming in now just to secure that one there. You do have the Onslaught Shadows available. And IG, despite losing out on the early kills, they're going to be able to keep themselves relevant in this game. And that's something that we can talk about in terms of IG. When they're able to get these early dragons, again, when the ball is in Shun's court, when it's about him getting a steal, getting a good engage, fighting around these objectives early, it does feel like it is IG looking a lot stronger in this. And now Zika feeling good with this Sheen pickup. Going to be able to get a decent trade, but you've already got the Vampiric Scepter on Flandre. Should be able to sustain it up, no problem at all.
Yeah, that's the thing, is sustain from Flandre means this isn't really too relevant. And you've already got EDG's mid-jungle moving up again, so this is a bit scary. Shun is heading over, will be there to cover, and the Onslaught Shadows is going to make things so difficult if EDG opts to dive, but I think they will just be happy to take the Krugs. Zika will burn his hookshot there, but I think EDG know this is going to be a great play, and they will see the Hecarim turn up, will just back away. Taking the camp is the only real prize there.
Yeah, and he obviously sees the ward, sees how fresh it is as well, so recognizes they were probably there just very second ago, and that's why this IG bot lane can now be a bit more aggressive. They said, hey, this ward only went down about a couple of seconds ago. We know that Lee Sin's in this top side, and look at the mini-map. They're just being so aggressive in this top side. No one's really going towards the lane, and it's EDG trying to see what they can do here to try and take away as much of this income away, as Jiejie in a lot of trouble. We brought back over the wall because of the Hextech ultimatum. The shockwave brings him down, with Zika picking up the kill, and now Flandre trying to see if he can turn this one around as a trade of jungler for top laner, but now Scout in a lot of trouble. Can they get the smite off to keep him alive? He flashes away, and Flandre keeps it going. Double kill there for the Graves. Yuekai flashes away from the pulverize, but now his own support is in a lot of trouble. Does not have a flash available, but a 2-for-1 trade for EDG.
Yeah, EDG come out ahead and they go for that aggressive play. I like the punish from IG, but they commit so many resources onto the Lee Sin. We can see the replay, right? So Zika finds this nice pick, right? He gets the ultimate before Jiejie can get away, but then we have Onslaught of Shadows. We then, on the follow-up, also have the Shockwave. That's all 3 ultimates burn onto 1 target. And we have Flandre, just watch him, constantly free hitting in this fight. The consistent damage to the Graves paying off so heavily here. And it's just over the course of so many autos, then ends up getting the kill on the Hecarim, gets red buff. Yuekai actually with a really heads-up flash there. Very predictive, right? He wasn't even a reaction there. They flashed at the same moment. So heads up from him to avoid going down as well. But EDG coming out ahead massively on that one. And 3 kills now on this Graves. Very scary.
Yeah, that's the big thing I'm looking at right now. You've got a very, very accelerated Graves right now. 1,000 gold ahead, roughly in that top side. So basically the entire gold lead is resting on 2 Graves and Flandre in that top side. So be curious to see what they're able to do. I will say there are more options for Zika. He will eventually get to a point where if anyone except the Graves walks up onto him, he should be able to ult on top of them and get something going for his team. But this is still very, very good from EDG. IG, not to be outdone, are trying to answer in kind, but you're against the world champions. It's always going to be a bit of a battle.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, that Camille does get to the point where she can duel the Graves in the side lane, but you know, this acceleration for the Graves makes a big difference, and it is kind of the goal for EDG when they're constantly playing around top side. They want this Graves to be strong. They want him to pull ahead. It has already got the shield bow, great item in terms of dueling, but also all that sustain in pocket. And we've seen a lot of hole breaker rushes coming out. Interesting to not see it coming out from Flandre here. Obviously, the item is just pretty well statted, even without being isolated, and does mean you can just completely shred towers when you get left alone in the side lane, but instead opting for the combat power that the shield bow offers.
I mean, it makes sense, right? You look at how much pressure and resources EDG are throwing into this top side. It makes sense. They want to go for it. We are going to see the pulverized miss as we now got the Zeri trying to go in over the wall. This is great kiting, though, from On. He dodges everything. Shockwave will go completely awry, but that was beautiful from On in the bot lane.
So well played, and now Zika should just be able to clear the waves out here. EDG aren't able to do anything on the top side of the map. They lose out on that bot lane play, and I mean, a big aspect of that was this was Viper and Meiko making a duo play without backup from the team. Obviously, Jiejie on the top side of the map, they are just going to throw down the Herald, though, and look at the plates. Gun, you should be able to contest this.
Yeah, they are going to contest it. There's the Hexac ultimate coming down on the Flandre, and they're going to try and burst him out. Shield bow or not, he is still dead. Shutdown goes over to Yuekai, and now Jiejie trying to run away. Does have the safeguard, should be able to keep himself safe, but Yuekai wants a little bit more. Does have the command attack. Not quite able to get it into position, but again, really, really good answers here from IG, and EDG just getting a little bit lax in terms of how they're reacting to the bot lane play.
Yeah, it's just honestly a little bit sloppy from EDG, right? They're so split. They're trying to play through 2 lanes at once. It's very greedy, and they essentially get outplayed in both fronts. They still get the plate gold in pocket, but you know, that's always going to happen when you have the Herald. They're not able to secure the tower, and I just think great target session from Zika here. He knows the Graves is the big threat. Ults him, and there just isn't the outplay potential when you lock down like that. Onslaught of Shadows comes in to secure the kill in the end, and although Jiejie gets away, it's still positive plays coming out from IG. Gold is just about even. They have a dragon advantage, and again, their team fighting is so good. I feel pretty confident, right? If they go late, they can play this one, but oh, looks like they might be caught out.
He's dead. He doesn't really have many places to go. As I say that, they do miss the end of the lines. That should be enough to try and keep him safe. As I say that, though, Meiko and the Ryze coming up here. They want Zika dead. Double pink ward and all. Give it over to Scout. They got to make something happen. They will have to invest the Ryze ultimate, but they get a kill and a turret for the sake of a dragon in that bot side.
And you know, it's very easy to look at that situation and go, right, there's nothing that Camille could have done there. But you should have expected this, right? Your team is committing to the bot side. You know they're setting up for the dragon. You know you on the weak side. Why are you sitting on a tower that has barely any HP and with no defense on that side of the map? Zika could have just backed off, played some jungle camps, and avoided that play completely. So it's good for EDG to answer back and find that advantage. They will also get that first tower, which is a big influx of gold. But on the other side, IG able to secure their second dragon. Now, I'm going to be a little bit careful when you have those traps behind you.
Yeah, you need to be a little bit more wary of where you're taking your steps. You'd have to take a little bit more harassment, as we do see the red buff being stolen away by Flandre. And then that's going to be what the pressure of this Graves gives you. He's going to be able to cheat himself into this bot side or even top side jungle, then get away with taking away these camps, get away with trying to push away. As we can see, the Onslaught of Shadows comes out, and now we're going to see Flandre in a lot of trouble. He has a flash, but I don't know if he's got anywhere to go. The Immortal Shield Bow keeps him alive for just a second, but Yuekai, we talked about this guy in the first series against BLG, 3-1-2, really stepping up so far for IG.
Yeah, doing a really good job, but my question is, what was Flandre doing there, right? You got to play top side, you steal all the jungle camps, right? You get a ton of gold, you're in a really good position.
But the
why are you still there?
Ward, Ox, the
right?
pink ward.
It's like,
you don't
okay,
understand.
He's mind controlled by the control ward that he has to kill it. It's so unnecessary, and he just gives over more gold to the enemy side, completely mitigating the successful play that they managed to find there. So again, we're seeing EDG playing this a little bit sloppy, a little bit fast and loose. And IG are in position to answer. Still down in gold, but those 2 dragons in pocket are definitely a good omen as this game continues. Now, we see them leaning towards this bot side. They're going to steal away some camps here. Potentially put some pressure on this bot lane tier 1. Jiejie is moving in to try and answer.
Jiejie needs to be so careful. He doesn't know where Lucas is. Lucas does not hit the center play. They will get themselves the red buff steal. And this is the important thing. Despite the pressure that EDG have put into this top fight, despite the multiple camps that EDG have stolen away, Shun's still ahead on CS. Shun still has a 20 CS lead, 2 dragons for himself, and already up towards his turbo chem tank alongside those Ionian boots of lucidity. He's fine. And also, straight up, he's just not the big reason that IG are winning right now. It has been a combination play from IG of syncing up, getting themselves into good positions, and then using the power of their carries. As we look quickly down towards those items, yes, you've got 2 items on the Flandre. Does have his Lord Dominic's Regards now finished up, so very powerful spike for him, but you've got the Divine Sunderer for Zika. We obviously talked about the Turbo Chem Tech. Luden's Tempest picked up as well, the Triforce. You have a lot of power here, and look, EDG have to respect it because they are not in position to contest this.
Yeah, IG just walk over onto the objective, force them away. Now, EDG trying to take mid priority and potentially lean over, but it's so difficult to face check in this situation. This Orianna is doing an insane amount of damage. 8 stacks on the Dark Seal. Sork shoots for Pen. Luden's as well. They are playing this one pretty cautiously. Now, they are going to push up mid, but I think the wave clear is available for IG to deal with this, and this Herald is already gone. So, EDG, they group up and get nothing, right? Look at the bot lane. No one's there. They could have pressured that in. They could have looked for the T1 there. Instead, they hang around mid for no reason, right? No value was gained from that. They were fishing for an opportunity, and now IG with the Herald in pocket will be able to make their play quicker. Move over towards the top side, Herald in pocket. If Flandre steps up, he's dead.
Yeah, they have to give this one up for free. So it is going to be a trade, and actually a slower trade here for EDG. Like you mentioned, only getting down towards that bot side right now. Lucas is roaming over. Flandre's going to find himself in no man's land, but he gets himself out with the quick draw. So IG, I'm liking this from the moment, you know, Ox. This is feeling like a coordinated, cohesive team. This is feeling like a team that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe. I will say it's a little unfortunate they don't get the big 2-headed wolf there, but again, these are good plays coming up against a very difficult opponent. They're not afraid to try and just play their game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I love the confidence coming in. I love the fact that they're being proactive. Now, Dragon in 45 seconds. This is undoubtedly going to be a fight, right? Gold is dead even.
Has to be.
But it's 3rd Dragon for IG if they can get it. And Ocean Soul, honestly, with the Hecarim on your side, the fact that Zeri gets quite bulky with a build, Camille as well, these targets become really hard to take down if they can secure this. So EDG, they're there first. They're setting up, right? IG potentially overstaying in the top side. Means they will be there a bit later, but they have the Herald. They can throw down mid to look to contest that priority and use that power to force in. Remember, they are a dive composition. They have the tools to force in if they need to.
Yeah, that's a quick look at summoners. I'm going to stop myself right there as they're going to jump straight onto Meiko. Zika goes in and goes back out, gets the unbreakable will out of the Alistar. Great damage on the side, though, from Scout, and that's going to be a kick fit from the Lee Sin. No, he doesn't get it. The shockwave comes out to try and keep Yuekai alive. It's a trade of 2 for 1 as On forced to flash away. They will get the Realm Warp right behind the turret. They are very deep, but they're not quite able to find this one out for themselves. They will be able to get themselves this mid lane turret. What else can they get, as well as the rest of IG? They've been taken away from the safety of their base.
IG just need to buy time though, right? Yuekai does have that teleport, so he's going to be able to rejoin if they wait long enough. Lucas is already walking over, whereas Jiejie is far away. EDG, if they start the dragon, there's an opportunity for a smite steal, so they know they kind of have to back off here. The longer this play goes, the more confident IG feels. So despite EDG coming out ahead, I think they just have to back away.
Yeah, they got to back away. They are here, though, with Flandre and Meiko. You can see the TP coming in as well. They're going to try and contest this one. IG, this would put them onto Soul Point. We got Zika running in now onto Flandre. Oh, my God, that damage is huge right now. This Graves is ridiculously big. He flashes over the wall. Shun goes too far down and gets taken out of this fight. EDG should be able to pick up themselves a first dragon, and this is where it's starting to fall apart. EDG just looking too composed for IG to deal with.
Yeah, even when everything feels pretty solid in this game for IG, they end up making a misplay, and EDG capitalize. Now, to be a bit careful, EDG are 5 strong and pushing up here, and you can see Jiejie potentially fishing for a flank. This is a dangerous position to be in.
Oh, there goes the Super Mega Jet Rocket. They're going to go in with the solar flares to try and get underneath the tower. There's going to be the ultimate from the Zeri, though, and you've got to be very careful here if you're EDG. But they've already taken them down. They've got the damage. They've got too much to deal with, and it's going to be 4 quick kills. All of a sudden, we've gone from dead even to a 3,000 gold lead.
And this is the problem, right? You go into the later stages against EDG without a lead, and they are so good when it comes to this mid game. Perfect coordination on that team fight. The confidence to go for this tower dive 5v4, not counting the tower as an extra member because it didn't do anything there to save them. Now, this is where we had that moment where Zika got nearly burst out and they commit for this play. But Flandre flashes from the floor shadows, and now your main engage tool, this Hecarim, just gets bursted out, right? There's so much damage from Scout and Flandre at the moment. They go for this dive play here as well. The critical thing is that we have low HP members, right? On and Zika already pretty low on health, and they have tools like the Alistar, the Ryze, the point and click CC. It makes it so difficult to defend against it.
Again, just look at the kiting. Look at the way they're just juggling the aggro. In, out, still putting out a lot of DPS, and this is why EDG are so powerful, why they're so good. Yes, look, we said that top lane was arguably their weakest lane, but that doesn't mean that Flandre's a bad player. That just means that out of the absolutely star-studded lineup that EDG have built for themselves, Flandre maybe doesn't shine the brightest when he's given the resources, though. Now 6, 2, and 4 on this Graves. Excuse me, he's probably sitting on an absolute boatload of gold. As we can see, he's probably going to finish up an item straight away. I would not be surprised if he goes back and gets himself a third item. No questions asked.
I mean, he's so strong, and it's so difficult because you're engaging into them, right? If you don't burst out Flandre, the sustained damage available, he just shreds anyone he gets close, right? If Zika or Shun are in range of him, he will absolutely massacre them. And you can see already, Zika doesn't want to stay around and may have already overstayed.
Yeah, doesn't have flash available. The kick will land, but Jiejie ignores the compulsion to go back in on your key. He wanted it.
Instantly, IG starts to move towards Baron. He thinks, you know, maybe this isn't the play to be going for as a jungle on the bot side of the map when Baron is available.
Ox, an Infinity Edge. An Infinity Edge from one back and a long sword to boot.
Look at the item diff between top laners. Look at this item diff. Look at the item diff between top laners. Tell me this is okay, right? This is, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
Great analysis.
Yeah, significant amounts of damage, and it makes it so scary. One, it means that they have a ton of damage on this Baron, right? They will just shred through it. You can see they're going to bait out the blue trinket and not actually back away. I think they want to bait in a fight. They know they're strong, right? 4,000 gold lead. I are forced to move over.
They got to go for it. Shun will be able to get himself over the wall. He's going to go for it. No, the Baron knocked him off. I just saw the tentacle on the back side of this. That's so unfortunate. Shun couldn't actually pop his ultimate, which meant he couldn't contest, and that means that EDG get themselves a Baron for free. Not technically for free. They will lose the tier 1 in the mid lane, but now the IG, they got to back themselves away, and they cannot fight right now.
Yeah, they didn't have vision of the wall is a critical thing, right? Because John definitely could have just ulted over as immediately as he got there, but it's so scary to do so because he gets bursted down so quickly. If you don't know the Baron HP, you're just going to die doing so. The technical comes in, it's a little bit too late, but it's just a very snappy decision from EDG. And this is what I mean, right? If you come into a point where EDG have a lead, they are very good at closing that out, right? You give them an inch, they take 17 miles, and they are proving that here and now.
17 miles, 6 LPL titles, an MSI championship, and a world championship, if we're going to be completely honest with it. But
of one gold lead? Wow, that's pretty
I mean, they're efficient, my friend. They're an efficient team, you know? But coming back into this one again, we obviously talked up a lot about IG, and specifically we looked at why we thought maybe they could get something going for them. this is why we said it was a very heavily favored matchup towards EDG, because IG have not gotten Zika, who's been their shining light so far, and Jiejie gonna find himself in the mid lane. Good shockwave from Yuekai, but you've already been caught out. Nowhere for you to go. It feels like it's gonna be a death of 1,000 cuts, and again we're seeing why we think that EDG coming into this are such heavy favorites, because individually in every single lane, if they could just focus out your technically top players and Shun and Zika, there's nothing you could do. I feel so bad for this bot lane, because On and Lucas just haven't played the game. They've just basically had to deal with this 4v5.
Yeah, they said, see in 20 minutes, we both got cold. They turned up 20 minutes later and they're like, nah, we didn't. I
think Viper's pretty happy with that trade, to be perfectly honest. And TP comes out from Zika, but he ends up, what happened there? He just got caught out on Lucas. The TP did get finished off by Zika, but the tower is dead. They've got a lone Canyon minion, and his name is George, and he is putting down work onto this last Nexus turret. You can see that Shun, he's going for a desperation play. He has to try and make something go for it, but he's miles away from his team. That means it's basically a 5v3 as he finally gets in with the onslaught of shadows, but it's just to keep Zika alive. I feel like Jiejie is going to be able to keep the rest of his team going into the Nexus. At 25 minutes, EDG decimate IG.
Yeah, I mean, the early game, I gotta say, I don't think it looked too bad for IG. They had some positive plays despite the pressure from EDG's mid-jungle, but the second you give them any room, it was that third dragon fight, EDG find a successful play, and then they transition it into that big dive bot, and it just doesn't stop from there. You really cannot give them anything. They will just run away from this game, and it's kind of what we expect, right? It's the strength we know EDG has. I will say there was some sloppiness, right, in the early game. They didn't look completely crisp and clean there, but they had some good proactive plays, and then when it came to that team fight, that was it. That was it. And I think, honestly, it's hard to sort of judge this one from the perspective of IG, because it's like, you know, they did pretty good in the early game, right? It's just like, do you go back and be like, right, everything was good up until that point, or are there things you look at? Are you like, maybe we should have had a bit more agency in the mid jungle? Because that's the thing, right? The Hecarim did a good job, but imagine if the roles were reversed and IG were the ones with like a Lee Sin Ryze. Could they have had a substantial lead at that point, right? So definitely an opportunity for IG to reflect coming in this game too, because yeah, they finished the one quickly, and you can see, look at the goal graph. This is it, right? You sort of meander around the early game, and you're like, we're doing okay. Despite EDG having that early pressure, they sort of answered back quite well, and then it's just boom. You make a mistake, that's it. Game's over.
And again, look, we saw this game plan, if you will, coming out from EDG right from the draft. They banned away things that could very easily deal with the Graves in the side lane. Things like the Gwen, Tryndamere, and then they went, cool, we have no problem now with whatever's left on the table. Even if you ban away the Jace and the Renekton, these are still things that we know we can deal with. And when you don't have these very snowbally, very solo style plays, or players that come out, or champions I should say, for players like Zika, who has shown that when he can get those solo kills, when he can get his hands on the likes of the champions like Tryndamere and Gwen, can take over games, there's not really a lot of options for Zika, and he was just heavily focused in that early game. There was just not really an opportunity for him to really come back and do anything.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing you can talk about with this mid-jungle, right? Because I think IG did a fantastic job, but it's so hard to play against this Ryze Lee Sin. There were so many moments where EDG just said, okay, we're going top. Get a dive, get a play, get some plates. The Graves gets massively ahead. There was that point where we looked at it and he had Shield Bow, he had the Lord Dominic's, and he had Infinity Edge. And then Zika had
Sunderer and a couple of items.
And some items, some components. There's just no competition in that situation. So I think not letting them to have such an easy play pattern to lean top is going to be very important in this game too for IG.
Yeah, we'll see how they end up throwing it. We're going to say throwing it, my God. Seeing how they